Donald Trump to me is like a good villain that you love to hate. You know, uh, his second run is upon us, and everyone had their own expectations. Everyone had what they hoped the second run would be. For those who believed in him, they hoped for a better United States. They hoped for less immigrants flooding into the United States, which, in all fairness, if something or someone is coming into your house and all they're doing is make it less pleasant, then perhaps they should go. You know, I for one, I think this is gonna be very controversial, but I think this is what I'm good at, being controversial in a good way. I like to think that I'm controversial, but in a good way. So I think he had plans to make America great again, as he says, as his motto is, and his fans believe in that. In my opinion, I think he had a good thing going. You know, he had a good vision. He had a great vision, despite of all the people that were going to get hurt in the crossfires of him becoming commander in chief once again after a terrible first run. But people still had hope. People still wished that things are going to be much better with him and different with him. But that does not seem to be the case, because I'm not keeping tabs, but I'm pretty sure 3 months now into his reign as, you know, the president of the United States and commander in chief, a few of the promises he gave out to his people, or to the American people, was to end the war in Gaza, to end the war in Ukraine. But somehow these things have not been done yet. Or will they be done? Will he get the job done? I'm pretty sure during the presidential debates between him and Biden and then Kamala Harris, he did pledge, or he did promise, he would end the war within day one. And I'm pretty sure right now the 100 days of his reign have kicked off. So he did have a conversation with President Zelensky of Ukraine. Zelensky was in Washington at the Oval Office, and they did have a conversation. The Vice President J.D. Vance was in attendance, journalists, and it was a very interesting conversation. It was a very interesting meeting between world leaders. But the talking point of that whole conversation after it ended was how chaotic it was. That was the talking point. They didn't end it in good terms. They didn't come up with any solutions on how to end the war. And if you have been following up, because it's been in the news all over the world, you know exactly what went down. Which is funny, from the reactions Trump and Vance had during that conversation. I remember when they said it wouldn't be smart to elect a woman as commander-in-chief, referring to Kamala Harris, because women are too emotional. And yet, I've seen a couple memes online where the conversation got heated and Zelensky looked like the man in the room, and Trump and his vice president looked like they were the females in the conversation with their hands up and asking Zelensky to shut it. He has played all his cards, which I didn't actually even know that trying to end a war, trying to end suffering that has been going on for nearly 4 years now was a card game, you know. So it was a very interesting conversation. It was a heated one. Donald Trump called it good TV, but I'm pretty sure that's not good TV. This comes from a movie nerd. I watch everything from horror except romantic. I don't see the point. I've watched a few. I Walk to Remember, Titanic. Got pissed off that there was enough room for Jack on the door and yet Rose didn't give him room. Got pissed off they shot the whole thing in a swimming pool. I don't know as a kid if I expected the Titanic to actually sink and all those people die and some get saved. The point is, Zelensky looked like he was the man in the conversation. He kept his cool. He was trying to talk to two grown men who did not seem like they wanted to talk. Which is quite frustrating to watch, to be honest. So that was that. Nothing happened. And people started calling Trump Putin's little something. I promise to keep this show PG, so we won't drop any F-bombs or anything very unnecessary. I'll try. But the conversation between Vance, Trump, and Zelensky, and then all the memes that came out of it, all that Trump showed the world, then came something that was very interesting. Donald Trump letting the Tet brothers come back to the United States. That, I think, was a turning point for a few of his supporters, because I did see some reactions online, especially the X platform, as it's called now, formerly known as Twitter. A lot of people were expressing the frustration on how they felt betrayed and disappointed in Trump deciding to let the Tet brothers back into the United States after everything they've been accused of. You know? So, and then to me it was like, why are you even surprised? You know? Why is this shocking to you? The same way that I've had a conversation with a lot of people who say, I just cannot understand how someone would vote for Donald Trump. And I saw a clip from Trevor Noah on his podcast a few days ago or weeks, where he was having the same conversation with someone, and he was saying, I actually understand when people vote for Donald Trump. What I don't understand is how someone thinks people wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. And that's the same with me. Like, if you look at him as a villain, and he's a villain you love to hate, there are people who look at him as a hero, and they're going to come after you for thinking that their hero is a villain. That's how this whole thing is. You know, if you think this is a 6, somebody else thinks it's a 9. That's just how perspectives work. And like I said, Trump came in with a few promises that a lot of people thought they needed. I say thought they needed because there was never proof of immigrants eating cats and dogs, as he claimed during the presidential elections when he was up there with Kamala Harris. There's never evidence of that. But he said the Haitian immigrants were eating people's cats and dogs. You know. So him promising that there will be fewer immigrants coming into the country, He'll fix a few things here and there. That was hope for his supporters. You know, so someone saying, "I don't understand why people would vote for Donald Trump." I get it. I've been there. Trust me. But I also get why someone would want to vote for him. He is something they want. He is someone they need. He is a solution to some of their problems. And people need that sometimes. Sometimes it's not for everyone, but yes, people actually do need that. So it happened, you know. And and then the Tate brothers scenario happened. The Zelensky thing happened. You know, they even released a new list of people on the Epstein list. I actually do not know what the Epstein list is all about. I want to think it's the same thing as the DD list, but I'm not quite sure. I honestly haven't even taken my time to figure out what the Epstein list is because I'm pretty sure it doesn't really concern me, but yeah. So he was on the list. And because of everything that was happening with the Tate brothers, with Zelensky, everyone chose to ignore it. But reports have it that he was on the list. Now, it could be someone editing the list and adding Trump's name on the list. It's quite doable today. Or he was actually on the list. So we would never know because it's been a week now since the latest Epstein list was released, and everybody has seemed to move on from that. You know, I for one am not surprised with anything that is happening with Donald Trump and Elon Musk and his administration right now. It has been executive order after executive order after executive order. It has been frustrating, I'm pretty sure, for a lot of people who were supposed to, you know, change a lot of things. But I think the funniest thing that happened was them, you know, hiring back every single person they've fired recently because they deemed them incompetent and corrupt. It baffles me so much that I have to sit down and think like, you did not research, you did not do enough research on these people before firing them, because that makes you more or less incompetent than them, you know. But that's where things are at. And now he's in a trade war with Canada. You know, I think I saw a few of, you know, Canadian politicians. One of them said, USA and Canada have been really good cousins, and now sadly they had to part ways, they had to break up. And I was thinking, you do not break up with your cousin. At least from where I'm from. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But it was hilarious either way, and you know, if you just think about it. You know, and the Prime Minister of Canada, I don't actually know his name. He was also asking Donald Trump to not do this, like, you know, a disappointed father would tell his children what to do and what not to do. So the world right now is probably hanging in the balance because of Donald Trump and his decisions. Because let's be honest, whatever this man does for the next 4 years is going to have major consequences for the entire planet. You know, the United States is one of the biggest countries in the world. No, correction. One of the most powerful countries in the world. So him doing everything he is doing, it's going to have consequences in the long run. We all know that. The question is, how bigger of consequences? Will America still be able to vote for him, or will they finally realize that he is not good for them and give somebody else a chance? But this is just my thought. Honestly, these are the things that we do not need so many hours of research, sitting down in conversations and discussing and dissecting and analyzing every single bit that is happening. Some of these things are out there. You can just look at them and choose which part of history you want to be in. We do not need hours and hours of research and dissecting every single thing that is happening. And it's something that I find very interesting today, that people don't actually want to use even a little bit of logic when discussing things that are happening in the world. Everyone is running to check for facts. Everyone is running to look for facts and data and what analysts say, the experts, and every other people out there. While some of these conversations we can actually sit down and talk as humans, but we can't also talk because we have two sides of the conversations where it's impossible to be in the middle. And what everyone else is doing is that everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants to be correct. And as soon as you say something that somebody else does not actually agree upon, they'd rather silence you. We talked about this a couple of times on the previous episode with cancel culture. For me, it's just like a really toxic environment for conversations that we have today. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. But that's just my thoughts. And I, for one, I'm actually excited to see what happens next. Good or bad. They say, prepare for the worst, but pray for the best. I guess that's what I'm doing, and I guess that's what everybody else is doing, and I hope everybody else is doing.